You know what I just realized? So I'm dabbling a little bit here, and I guess more than dabbling, in Nietzsche, The Will to Power, as you guys have seen. I've showed it in videos. Um, this is going to be a doozy of a book to get through. I'm not specifically like trying to get through it like the Empire of the Summer Moon here. Um, I'm how do I put this? That needs to be done in a decent time, right? Because I want to make a video on it. Like quantum supremacy, I'm still working on getting that fleshed out so I can make a video on it. Um, the will to power I've picked up and I've went into it with the frame of thought of I'm gonna take my time reading this book. I don't care if this takes me months to get through because I'm gonna read it when I'm inspired to read it. And I'm gonna take my time with it. Like I've been reading for probably a little over 20 minutes, and I've read like a page and a half because I'm on page 23 and I'm on section 20 here. Um, and I got caught up on it. I even broke out the notebook to try to understand it as deeply as I can. And this is what I wrote in the notebook. Or should I read the section first? So here's how I'll read the section first, and then I'll write, or I'll read what I wrote. Okay. But I want to preface this before I read any of this. I did make a video about the wrath of our disillusionment is weaker than our force of habit. Now he's just further elaborating on this, and it kind of ties in with that sentence there from I think it's 2 pages beforehand. It is 2 pages beforehand. But so here's how it goes. I'm gonna put this in 2 times speed, future TJ. So I'll get through this quicker, people. The question which nihilism poses, namely, to what end, springs from the previous habit of regarding ends as set for us, given to us, and required of us by something external, that is, by some supernatural authority. Although we have been weaned from believing in this sort of thing, the force of habit still leads us to look for another authority, which could speak to us in a peremptory manner, assigning to us our tasks and aims. The authority of conscience now steps into the foreground. The more we emancipate ourselves from theology, the more morality couches itself in the imperative mood, offering itself as compensation for personal authority, and if not conscience, then the authority of reason or the social instinct, the herd, or history, with an immanent spirit which has its own end to which we can resign ourselves. We would like to circumvent the will, its exercise and action directed towards an end, and the risk involved in proposing ends to ourselves. We would like to avoid responsibility, which is why we would happily accept fatalism if we could. Finally, we allow happiness to become an obligatory end, and then, with a bit of tartuffery, which I had to look that up, which was I don't think I have that tab saved. It's a character, but that's neither here nor there. With a bit of tartuffery, the greatest happiness of the greatest number. Then it goes on to say, notice how the individual, but so I'm going to stop there actually because my notes is up till there, not the end piece, which the end piece I'll just state real quick actually. Notice how the individual ends conflict with one another and the collective ends conflict with the individual ones. Everyone will become a party to this, even the philosophers. We tell ourselves, one, that a definite end is quite unnecessary, and two, is quite unlikely in the foreseeable future in any case. Especially now, when what is needed most is a supreme effort of will, we find ourselves weak-willed and faint-hearted. We have no confidence whatsoever in the ability of the will to organize the whole. Okay, so then here's my notes that I took on it. I said, how I am understanding this is, with nihilism, it leaves us uncertain about our end. I put that in quotes. Which with religion, there is a belief of an end that is known, although not proven. Now, because of the quote up top I wrote, because at the top of this page I have the quote, the wrath of our disillusionment is weaker than the force of our habit. It's known humans are creatures of habit, and because of that, we seek another authority. Once our disillusionment of religion and the freeing occurs, we focus on morality. While conscience shows itself as an option of personal authority, there is also reason, social instinct, or history that are all candidates for authority, which will give us direction and aim. We want to believe determinism when it comes to death, so we don't have to take responsibility. Because Nietzsche, he believes, which he doesn't believe in free will, and he doesn't believe in determinism, but he believes free will was created. If I'm remembering this correctly, he believes free will was created as a foundation for moral responsibility. So, like, to punish people. He believes free will was created to hold people accountable, to hold individuals accountable. He believes it was a tool created by the weak to control the strong. But then, so like I circled, we would like to avoid responsibility. So we don't want to take responsibility for how we die is how I'm taking this. And I think that because he says, which is why we would happily accept fatalism if we could. But fatalism isn't always about death. It's determinism. It's a belief that all events were already predetermined, therefore they're inevitable. So it's kind of like a letting go. So that would make me think that he believes in free will. But then right here, that a definite end is quite a no. See what I'm saying? But then right here where he says that a definite end is quite unnecessary, that makes me think he believes in free will. Well, these both make me think he believes in free will. But I've looked it up and I've watched videos about Nietzsche. He doesn't believe in free will or determinism. Now, what exactly does he believe in? I'm not sure, but I know he's not a, an absolute free will person or an absolute determinism person. So now I just looked up Nietzsche determinism. Nietzsche rejected both free will and standard determinism, viewing the human will as unfree but not governed by rigid, mechanistic cause and effect instead. His philosophy leans toward a type of fatalism where a person's life trajectory is fixed by their psychophysical facts, like competing drives and the circumstances they find themselves in. For Nietzsche, the crucial element is not changing what is fated, but the act of affirming and loving one's fate through Amor, Fati? How do I pronounce that? I'm going to say pronunciation. Yeah, Amor, Fati. Amor, Fati. A fucking ad. I got a YouTube ad, bro. What the fuck? A pronunciation video? You guys can't hear this, I don't think. No, you definitely can't. Duh. Yeah. Amor Fati. Amor Fatty, bro. Okay. Yeah. So, that's my realization tonight. Is like, wow. It's super interesting though. It's like got my brain. It's got me like fucking overwhelmed, but also like I like that I'm able to like dig so deeply into it. I like that his words aren't just surface level. I like the way he puts things. They're, I don't know. I'm trying to find a good example of a way. I can't find a great example of the way he puts certain things. Like, I mean, just here's an example. Like I from what I just read. The more we emancipate ourselves from theology, the more morality couches itself in the imperative mood. Like, I don't know, that's just elegant. As meat-headed as I could say it. And you got to stop and think about what that means, you know? You got to, like... These aren't words that we just use every day. So you gotta, like, think what the fuck they mean. I say that as I use literally the most surface level vernacular, like fucking and shit. Alright, I'm getting back to this book. I just had to flick on the camera to talk about this. It's 8:30 right now. I need to go eat dinner.